All right, we're live, and this is Breaking Bad, Season 3, Episode 4, Greenlight. But before we talk about Breaking Bad, let's talk about Better Call Saul, because that just ended this past
First?
Monday. Yes, let's talk about
Okay,
it first.
get it out of the way.
Too
You're
much.
so excited.
It's
You
too
have to do
much.
this.
It's too much for me to handle.
I know you have to do this. Go ahead.
All right, so the final two episodes just aired, Pimento and Marco. And Pimento was great, loved it. Marco was fantastic as well. And Pimento, we found out that Chuck was holding Jimmy back,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
and oh my God, that scene between Jimmy and Chuck was just terrific.
You wanted to hug Saul. Okay, Jimmy. But,
Hmm.
you know, and in all the time I've known this character, including Better Call Saul, I never felt for him. I never thought, oh, that poor guy.
Yeah,
He's Mr. Comedy. And he just bounces things off and he just keeps going. And yeah, this explains a lot.
hmm
It's like everywhere he turns, people are taking advantage of him, screwing him over.
yeah. And up to that point, you had sympathy for Chuck because he has this condition that he can't get outside. You really feel for the guy, and then it turns around, he's a freaking monster. How could he?
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's giving Hamlin a bad rep too. You think Hamlin was the one that's backing him,
But
pushing Jimmy down.
how do they get a bad rep?
Uh, in the beginning, you hear Jimmy call him Lord Vader, and that's right there telling the viewer that he's probably the bad guy in all of this.
Hamlin?
Yeah.
Because in that episode, it seemed like that was really Chuck. I don't think even Hamlin's
Well, I was
happy
talking
about
about up
this.
to the point before we found out that Chuck was the one that's
Right.
doing this. That
That's
Hamlin was the apparent bad guy.
yeah, Jimmy's perception at the time.
Hmm.
And that may very well be the case. He may be a jerk, self-serving, exploit people kind of a jerk in a legal but morally reprehensible way. Um, but in this case, it wasn't Hamlin holding him back.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. Um, and Hamlin has this look like he doesn't like what's going on, but he's going to go along because Chuck has leverage.
Hmm.
You know,
Chuck plays a very important role in HHM, but we haven't found out what that role is.
he actually may be the best. Look how ruthless he is. You
Hmm.
know, even lawyers, um, they can't help but deal with things as a human in a compassionate way. And so even a lawyer will trip and fall and be a nice person, but not Chuck.
Sorry, I'm
Hey,
late.
Henry.
Hey,
Hey,
Henry.
Shane.
We're too excited. We have to talk about the final seasons of Better Call Saul, final episodes.
Yeah.
So,
I liked Pimento way better than Marco.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
have to agree because
mhm,
Mike was a badass on Pimento.
he was. He was.
that was great.
But
That
we're
was
talking
good.
about the relationship between Chuck and Jimmy in
Yeah,
Pimento.
it was interesting. Chuck just out and out tells him, "Mate, you're not a lawyer. You got your
Hmm.
degree. You basically got your degree through a correspondence course of all things."
Hmm.
We see all these commercials these days for all these what would seem to me to be scams as far as these like Everest College, ICDC College, and all that.
Yeah. All these online courses you can take and get your degree in 30
Online
days.
courses, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And
actually some good stuff involved, but yeah, that doesn't look. You know what? It didn't look good in Better Call Saul when you thought that he actually went there.
Hmm.
You know, just no offense to American Samoa, but it just conjures up this vision of, okay, you couldn't even get into a good college, like, you know, wherever he was Chicago. You got to go to American Samoa to find a college that will take you.
Is that a real college, or is that just made up?
I don't think so. I didn't look it up, but I don't think so. But it does sound kind of cheesy, even when you think he actually went there, and to find out he did it online. We should have known. We should have known. And but there's a big difference between experience and, I mean, what Saul actually does the work. There's a couple parallels here. Right now, Saul is Walt to Gretchen and Elliot. His discovery, his work, he puts this whole thing together, brings it to his brother, and then his brother takes off and is going to make the big money.
Yeah.
And Saul's just going to be left out in the cold. And it's not really what Saul wants, but it's a decision he gets to make. He gets to try to do it on his own, which he can't, or take the money. They got him cornered. And so just like Walt, it's legal, but it's rotten morally.
Yeah.
You know, as far as human to human, brother to brother. And this is Saul's gray matter, right there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we got to see Mike being a badass, and we got to see him meet Nacho for the first time.
Yeah. And we got to saw how Mike is actually a private detective. He researched who Nacho was and told the little geeky guy, Price, which is fantastic. I like that guy. He's hilarious. And he told Price, research your criminals, and you're a criminal. You're a criminal. You don't have to be a good one. You don't have to be a bad one. It's for you to decide for that. Which I like that little.
But you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. I mean, it was great to see Mike. Yeah, and we thought initially he was going to work for Gus, but
that's coming.
Well, he will eventually.
Yeah, he will.
It has to be season 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on this last episode, we saw him talking to somebody on the phone about a job. So.
Oh, that was Price, right? That's what turned out to be the Price interview in the same parking garage as where
Gus.
Walt tries something in season 4. Same parking garage.
That's the one. Yeah.
I was looking behind the scenes. It was that. Where's the hospital at? Where's the hospital at?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You knew as soon as you saw that parking garage. Oh shit. Yeah. And Mike.
Then the van comes out, and then it's this guy with glasses that shouldn't be even doing this.
I'm selling OxyContin, actually, apparently. You know, I work in a doctor's office. I think the only 80 milligram pill I can think of would be an OxyContin. And any 80 milligram pill that people would be interested in is more like it. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Nacho might be working for Gus. That's why Nacho was going behind the scenes of getting these pills, so Gus won't know.
You think Gus would go about getting pills that way? I don't know. I don't know. He doesn't deal with new people very easily.
Well, that's why Mike said that he's going behind the scenes to get these pills so that his suppliers won't know. That's why he gave him the $20.
Oh, right. Because he's doing his own thing on the side.
Yeah.
And that would not be pleasing to his boss.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Maybe he's the first box cutter victim.
Oh, that would be great. That would be awesome.
His practice, you know?
Wait, I saw an article where Giancarlo Esposito expressed interest in being in season 2.
Oh, he's going to be in season 2.
Yeah.
Don't know when. He's got to be.
He'd love it. He'd love it. Especially if you can see him and his transition phase.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I'm not sure exactly when that. We haven't gotten there yet. But eventually, yeah, we see backstory.
Yeah, we see a little backstory between Gus in season 4, but not much.
Not it's season 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to somewhere around there, bouncing back from that maybe, because it's this hit. They get this hit, and it sends them in a direction. Gus will get hit emotionally. He's in a direction. Walt gets hit.
Yeah.
He's in a weird direction. And now Saul is getting hit. And now it's sending him off in a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then as to parallel some more with characters, when Chuck is doing the whole "you're not a real lawyer" thing, it's like he is Walt and Jimmy, Saul, is Jesse. Like,
Interesting comparison.
There's this
I like that.
partner relationship we think we see,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, I'm in, you're out. It just brings me back to,
Yeah.
I think, something we're coming up to pretty soon in season 3 of Breaking Bad here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also parallels this week's episode that we're going to talk about, Greenlight.
Yeah, Greenlight.
Yes.
Yeah, but before we get to Greenlight, we got to get to the finale of Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah.
So, the finale was all about Jimmy going back to Chicago and pulling off scams with Marco. And everybody thought Marco was going to be one of the cousins.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be Jimmy's friend from Chicago.
Right. Yeah, and that scene where they're going into the alley setting up their scam, did you kind of think that they were revisiting that one we already seen because we recognized the setting?
I think they were. I believe that's what they were doing. I think they were.
They was going to do the scam with the fake Rolex, and then that's when Marco had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Right, because I thought they were revisiting this for some reason, but then it dawned on me, especially because Marco was still standing up and singing "Smoke on the Water."
Mm-hmm.
Something hit me, and I'm like, he's going to lay down, and this time he's really going to be dead, and I don't know why I could see that coming.
Yeah, I think
all of a sudden
I saw that coming.
It did seem predictable.
It was a little predictable when he did that thing with his chest. It was a little predictable. I figured Marco was going to die.
That's it. That was the other big clue.
When he was coughing and when he was laying on the ground, I said, "Oh, I bet he's either dead or he's having a heart attack."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about those clues too. I'm like, wait, for some reason, that was the reason.
Yeah.
So it was definitely not a replay of the Rolex. It was something different.
Yeah, it was brand new.
And apparently, I had to read about this. Remember there's a moment when they're talking and Jimmy admits he's been in town before for his mother's funeral, I believe. And just didn't have a lot of time. But what he was really doing was trying to meet Chuck's expectations because Chuck doesn't want him hanging around with people like Marco.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
And now he goes back to Chicago right after Chuck has just, stabbed him as emotionally as somebody can be hurt,
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. The fact that Chuck would do that to his brother, but I guess it's really not unexpected. I think because Chuck didn't feel like he could trust Jimmy. I don't think he felt like he could trust him to handle a big case like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact
he still sees Slippin' Jimmy. He still sees Slippin' Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly.
But Saul is being better than Slipping Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that that Chuck actually, he feels like whatever Saul's put together and brought him is really good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he gets that. Yeah, but he does still have that overall profession, that expectation in his head that his brother's a clown.
Yeah.
His brother could never be as serious or as elite, and that he feels like he is greater than his brother. Chuck up here, Jimmy down there.
Mm-hmm.
Walt,
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah.
You know? And then the truth is, Saul does have a good, quick mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
By the way, can y'all see me live on camera or just my picture?
just your picture.
I can see you.
Oh, now I see you.
So
Yeah,
we found out how Saul got the pinky ring, and I like that. I like how they play that off. It was Marco's pinky ring, and Marco's mother gave it to Saul, which is loved it. I loved it.
Oh, and let's see. We found out a few things this week. We found out first
Kevin
of all.
Costner. We found out.
Kevin Costner.
He did the Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah, to see that played out. Yes, and then, this is where it works for somebody who never saw Breaking Bad. But if you watch Breaking Bad, there's an extra dimension there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also found out what a Chicago sunroof is.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is where the clown, aura, the clown personality that Jimmy has is in his way now as he's trying to be a grown-up.
Yeah. And the way that Bob Odenkirk did that monologue
Oh,
in
yeah.
the bingo parlor, that was just great. I loved it. Every minute
It was
of it.
almost uncomfortably long.
It
I mean,
was.
as a viewer, I was like, you gotta stop now. It's, that reminds me of, okay, parallels here. The Skyler, this will be later, but shut up.
Yeah.
Down the line, we'll just leave it there. Yeah, he was venting, to say the least. And then Belize.
Belize.
B as in Belize.
Yes. The Belize reference and
Another bonus.
Mm-hmm. And this is a little scene that we saw, and I think Jimmy still cares a little bit about Chuck, because why else would he visit Chuck's house?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely hurt.
Yeah.
It's not like, he betrayed me and I'm going to defend my manhood. It's like, you're my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I've loved you and taken care of you, and you're doing what? And it wasn't just what Chuck told him, but how. He didn't, and he could have found another way to phrase it, to make another parallel if you had taken the Walt Gale version of breakup here. It's just that we have different styles. I'm classical and you're like jazz. That's it, Well, one is that Walt really didn't think Gale was unworthy, but he didn't want to hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Out of respect. Chuck couldn't figure out a way to say that it wouldn't hurt his feelings. He didn't bother. He went all out. He laid it out as bitterly as possible on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible.
It was. Which is going to be interesting when season 2 comes around, of how it's just going to come all together, of what happens to Chuck, because Chuck is never mentioned in Breaking Bad.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought was bad was when Jimmy gave the guy the Chicago sunroof. The guy's kids were in the back seat. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, at least we found out how he became a possible sex offender. I was hoping they'd explain that in more depth. I'm just so glad they didn't show it. I'm glad they talked about it. I'm glad they didn't show it.
Yeah. We got guys, they could do that. We could, no. You know, and we can like get a perspective shot too, like.
That was where the indecent exposure charge came from, and
Yeah.
somehow that got correlated into indecent exposure. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you know, I feel like when it ended, it lacked a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it did lack a. Maybe it did end it on a cliffhanger because we don't know what Saul or Jimmy at this point is going to do. He could, in the beginning of season season 2, he could turn around and go and interview for that job.
I just think, I mean, this is the moment that we were waiting for. Where does Saul, Jimmy, who's trying to be a good guy, do the right thing, and now he's finding out the right thing is kicking him in the ass, just like it did with Walter White,
Mm-hmm.
and he makes this declaration all at once, you know, very undramatically, at the parking garage, a little quick conversation with Mike, and just an announcement that he was going to be doing things differently, and he was going to have a new attitude, and it was him first.
Yeah.
And
it was cool when he was driving away, humming "Smoke on the Water." Now when I hear "Smoke on the Water," I'll think of Better Call Saul. I'll think of him driving away from a missed opportunity.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a missed opportunity or not.
he hasn't officially given up the case, has he? He just said he was gonna.
He just said, I don't think he has officially given it up.
I don't think he has.
Yeah.
So he could change his mind and try.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just what with this case. This is small potatoes in the course of a career and a lifetime, and it's just how he's going to approach things from now on. You know, he'll become the kind of person like, remember the guy? It was that Miho, that episode when the skateboarders are in danger of Tuco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And first he gets his own life off the hook, and then he starts fighting for those guys too. This new Saul is just gonna get what he needs and get out and not care what happens to other people. I think that's what his declaration is. And maybe it's a declaration and maybe he'll struggle with it, but it's kind of like, I expect sort of like a Walt type progression. One thing leads to another, and it's not a decision, I'm going to be the bad guy. It's just how you make decisions one at a time, and where that ends up on your sort of graph of how, you know, your morality, your moral compass as you went along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But with him, it seems like a new me. He's tired of getting screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's no cliffhanger. I'm not like on the edge of my seat going, what's going to happen? I can wait. It's that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not drama so intense, and it's really kind of like, I didn't expect that to be like one of the ending things. It was very low key.
If the first episode and the last episode was reversed with Tuco coming out of that, now that would be a great cliffhanger.
Mm. Oh yeah, now that would make me drool.
Yeah.
So and I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with there's only 10 episodes. Maybe there's a backstory there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they said next season's going to be 13.
Yeah, that's right. And I have a bit of news about Tuco. Speaking of Tuco, Raymond Cruz is going to be starring in a Lifetime TV movie about the real-life Cleveland kidnapping, Cleveland, Ohio. He plays the guy who plays the main. He plays the kidnapper.
Yeah, those girls that was kidnapped in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's playing the kidnapper. That's going to be on April 25th.
I got to check that out.
Which means we might have to skip a week.
But that was pretty much it for the last 2 episodes of Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm trying to think if there's any moments that stand out for me, but I can't think of really much of them.
Well, I want to say that I think the bingo episode could have been shortened a little and still have had that over the top, discomfort that you sort of feel for, and maybe the montage of the Marco Jimmy scam thing, and that hold up part of the story could have been shaved without cutting it down completely and giving us more room for like a full-blown tirade from Saul.
Yeah.
Instead of just a brief few sentences to Mike, just a real tirade, and to give us more of a reason that Mike and Saul are both in the show. I mean, we almost forgot Mike existed, and then there he is at the end in the booth, and it's like, oh yeah, Mike, and he's just there to listen to Saul, and that's it. So, but his story is developed and important, and they're kind of like, they're apart, they get really close for a while, and now they're like this again. And how do they tie in? I don't know what happened. I think somebody must have cut their episodes. I swear. I gotta find that out.
I think we're eventually going to see, how Mike and Jimmy get together. As far as how Mike starts working for Jimmy and all that, or for Saul. Yeah. I think that may be coming up, by the way. Hey, Marty.
You made it.
Hi, Marty.
Can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us. Hi.
I don't think she can hear us.
Yeah. She's looking all over her screen. I'm not sure what's going on. And I had all these great notes about the episode, and then my computer blue screen, and I lost them.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear us.
I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot. You're going to have to try again. Go out and come in again. Like, go out and then come in. Walking Dead hand signals.
Yeah.
I don't know sign language.
What I thought was interesting was when Mike actually let him come through without having to use stickers. Like, come on, go ahead, go on. I think Mike and Jimmy have a better understanding of each other now.
Yeah, and Mike
especially since Jimmy helped him out. I mean, Jimmy did help him out.
He did.
Yeah. And Mike definitely picks and chooses those people he's going to harass. And Jimmy was full of himself and, basically acting like a jerk. So Mike's like, all right, you act like a jerk, this is what you get. But knowing him more now, and there's this bond.
He's respecting him a little bit more.
Yeah. So, yeah, just go. You park for free from now on, basically. That's what that looked like to me.
Yeah.
You get to park for free. So there's something. So there's that.
It was very cool.
Yep. Yeah. But that was pretty much it. And let's go ahead and get to Breaking Bad. Greenlight.
Yeah.
My notes. I made many notes.
I just watched it the other night, and I watched it again, I should say. And, this was a really interesting episode.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear anything.
Try again. Reboot. Reload.
She can hear us.
I messaged her on Facebook to go out and come back in. I don't think she got it.
Okay, so green light seems like pieces shifting.
Yeah.
Things finding their place, like an earthquake, and things are just settling into new places, and adjustments, and you know, people trying to figure out where they fit in the puzzle. And it starts with Jesse just having decided he's the bad guy. He's being the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's being very un-Jesse-like.
Yeah, he's taking Walter's formula and he's making the mess for himself. It starts with him stopping at that gas station. He's gassing up the RV, and he doesn't have the money to pay for the gas, so he makes a counter offer to the cashier. It's like, yeah, hey, I got something here.
He's being a pusher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, though he took advantage of that girl, and that is the very un-Jesse-like thing. And then he gets her to this position where a cop is coming up behind Jesse.
Yeah.
And he's acting like, I don't care. You gonna take it, or you gonna get busted with this? And she takes it.
Hey, Marty, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, what is this new Hangout toolbox I keep getting?
I don't know, but I wish it would get out of my face.
Everybody.
Well, I'm canceling that and hope that it doesn't interfere with this.
It shouldn't. I hope not.
Anyway, there's 33 minutes gone to hell.
Well, we talked about the last 2 episodes of Saul.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
How'd you feel about the ending, the finale in general?
The finale? Okay, so you've already talked about that. I'm really sorry. I've been doing everything I could since
that's okay.
one. I can't figure out what the problem is, and that always really stresses me when I
well, you made it. You're here now. It works.
I was the one with the technical problems 2 weeks ago, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
is Henry, do I see Henry on?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Hey there. I'm not seeing you. I'm seeing your name, but hello, Henry.
Hey, Marty.
I'm going to be invisible for a few minutes, too, but I'm here.
All right. So can I get a recap? Or did you just start talking about that final episode?
Yeah, we just finished it, but you can go ahead and go back.
Yeah, we love to hear your thoughts on it, though.
Yeah.
Well, the only other thought, I mean, I watched it twice the first night, and I posted that I was feeling really conflicted about it.
Mm-hmm.
And my big revelation, not a revelation, my big contribution, I suppose I want to say, to our Better Call Saul group was that final shot of those double yellow lines just still.
Yeah.
It just still sticks with me. It's like so much a part of me. So my husband never gets to see the first run. He has to catch up on Wednesdays. And he watched it, and then we went out for a late lunch that day, and we started talking about Better Call Saul because he always tells me what he's caught up on. He catches up on Battle Creek and Better Call Saul and so forth. So as we were discussing it, I was filling him in on, and I don't like to influence anybody, so I was filling him in on what different people posted on our group site.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told him, I said, did the final scene do anything for you? And he's like, the final scene, you mean when Jimmy is driving away? And I said, keep going, because yes, he's driving away with all this passion behind, it's like he's almost escaping, and he's going into the future, and is going to become Saul. So I said, do you remember what the camera did? Well, what the camera did, and Vince Gilligan does nothing by accident, but I've never been able to outthink him. Ever. This would be a momentous occasion if I had figured this out. The camera locked on the double yellow lines, and I even posted that, at least in this state, solid double yellow lines means do not cross. Mm-hmm. So You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then my husband and I continued discussing that, and I said, another thing that occurred to me about those solid double yellow lines was double cross. Just the words.
Oh, that's good.
You like that?
That's good.
So,
That's
okay.
great.
So those
Which
are
is
where I'm at
perfect
with
for
the
what
finale.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Now
what
we know Vince Gilligan does nothing by accident. And when I saw the camera lock on, I thought, okay, this
that
means something.
It
Yeah,
means
it has
something.
to.
That's what stayed with me through that whole final episode. Other than I have to confess, because you all are my people.
There have to be some insider videos that I'm not thinking of going to yet, like I do with Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to look at those. We have to be educated here. I keep forgetting. You just go to AMC Inside Videos, Inside this, but
and see, I don't do that at all. I try to remain. I don't want to say pure, but I try to remain completely detached from the outside world. And sometimes when Breaking Bad was on and when it was over, I was completely obsessed with everything I could read about it. And especially, Ellen, as you know, the hatred toward Skyler, which to this day just puzzles the heck out of me. And
we got more people on Skyler's side. We're over 400, yo. But really, that's going on 2 years. They just trickle in. Yeah. And then there's these waves. I don't know where they're coming from. But some people are actually joining just to say things like, she's a whore. So.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's,
you know what, Alan? Just give him a Chicago sunroof and everything.
I just ignore. Leave it. Leave the comment there. Just move along.
Here we go again.
I'm sorry. Those two words are not an argument. So do better.
The Chicago sunroof thing. It's like, who even came up with that term?
Probably Vince.
It's like.
It was either Vince or Peter Gould.
But do you think so, or do you think it goes back further? Do you think it predates Vince and Peter?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be like Vince was like, I want Jimmy to take a dump in a sunroof, and somebody else was like, oh, that's a thing. And it's called...
That's the thing. There's a name for that. So
let's do that.
It's like
Urban Dictionary. I was looking up
Urban
Chicago.
Dictionary, right?
Yeah, I was looking up Chicago sunroof on the Urban Dictionary, and the closest thing was urinating in the sunroof. That was the closest thing that was on there.
Okay. I got to make sure my sunroof is closed at all times.
So this is a Chicago sunroof 2.0.
Yeah.
That's good, Ellen. That's good.
Thanks.
Of course, the bad thing is the guy's kids were in the back seat. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh gosh, yes, Henry. I had the same reaction you did. It was like, ew. Now we know what it is. Ew, it's permanent. Ew. I mean, it was so gross that I would have never imagined that's what it meant. I mean, I figured it was something terrible, but really? Woo.
Yeah, before you came on, Marty, I'm like, I'm glad they explain it and not show it.
Oh, yeah, I could just, doesn't it occur to all of us, though, that some people out there are doing that, are now doing that to other people, just like the pizza on the roof.
Exactly.
Right? They now have to go out and find sunroofs of cars in parking lots.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the news for that. If I see something on the news for that.
I was just lamenting the loss of my sunroof by having to get a different car, and now maybe it's not a bad thing.
Right, you're right. Maybe it's not a bad thing because these shows do
influence people.
In
yes,
weird
exactly.
ways.
Those hardcore bands.
Wow.
The
Wow.
psycho hardcore fans.
It's like, I'm not sure. I have to think back really hard. I'm trying to figure out if there was ever anything in Breaking Bad that I wanted to try out myself, other than just find somehow legitimately working toward stacking up a whole room full of money. like like he did, and and I do kind of love that scene when Skyler, I mean, I'm off the point, but Skyler takes him to see the storage unit, and it's like, when is enough enough? What is enough?
Yeah.
And it's after that, I think it's the same show, that it might be the very next show, but Walter goes to her, and I think she's standing at the sink washing dishes, and he says, I'm out of it. And she doesn't believe him, and he said, I'm out of it. And he meant it. That was when Walter comes back, briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she realizes.
Before we go ahead.
I really loved that scene because it's obvious he had given a lot of thought to.
Well, he's actually there right now in Greenlight.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
In this episode.
You're absolutely right.
I like to hear Marty's thoughts on Pimento real quick.
On Pimento?
Yeah.
Which part of Pimento do you know about?
Any of it. Chuck betraying Jimmy, the Mike scene.
That Chuck and Saul scene, Jimmy and.
Okay. I have always, and I don't like the idea of our hangouts going online so that anybody can view them. I really I've never liked that. It's just, I don't want to be exposed to the whole world of psychotic people out there. Anyway.
Hi, psychotic people.
With that said.
I am psychotic.
I have never, well, we're all psychotic to a point. I've never been a fan of Michael McCain, ever. There's just
really?
something, you know how I guess we all do this. There's something about certain actors that we can't really define what it is we don't like about them. But I think as humans, we each have that with someone. And, there's, I don't much care for Cameron Diaz, for example. And then last night I learned my husband doesn't either. He's not a big fan of Cameron Diaz. We both think she's kind of weird. But Michael McCain, who's been in a ton of stuff, I really started enjoying his acting. There's just something about him that creeps me out.
I hate Tom Cruise, always.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Yeah. So there's something there. First of all, okay, I'm
I hate somebody.
Before Better Call Saul started, I thought, oh, darn it, this guy who I don't like has been cast as his brother. So I start watching it, and I think, boy, this character of Chuck is really interesting. I can get over the fact that I don't like the actor. Okay, here I am now. You want to know how I feel about Pimento? And
wow.
I hate the actor. I hate Chuck. I am so. It's like, see, this just confirms. I mean, it's always a sign that an actor is doing a fantastic job when he or she can stimulate a person to having really strong feelings. Like Raymond Cruz affects me that way. You know that. Raymond Cruz terrifies me. And if I sat down with him, I'd be watching him the whole time for little movements that would lead me to believe he's actually a serial killer, masquerading as a nice guy. So I can't even define what it is about Michael I dislike. I've just absolutely never been a fan. Now It's like, I don't care if I ever see him in any role again for the rest of his life and my life. I think what he did was so despicable, and some of the Better Call Saul group have written wonderful things about that episode. I think it is the ultimate betrayal to have a loved one do to you what he did to his brother. And
for betrayal.
Betrayal is big, and when it's from a loved one, there's almost no healing. And I read a few things yesterday that some of the women were talking. I don't know them, but some of the females were talking, and one of them said that she had been betrayed terribly after her mother or father died, and her own sister, I think, really betrayed her, I think it was after her mother died, and she was left money in the will, and then the sister went behind her back and talked the other parent out of it, and it was like humans at their worst. Just humans at their worst. But with Chuck, it's far worse than that, because I think he knows Jimmy has always looked up to him as, big brother.
Yeah.
He's always admired him, looked up to him, decided that he wanted to be a lawyer and work with his brother, and it took, Jimmy says that in the one show, that what it took when he passes the bar, which Chuck just absolutely dismisses. That's a very big event to pass the bar. You don't
He patronized him. He put on a show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell it was forced.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Jimmy took it at face value.
Yes, he did, because he always wanted his brother's approval.
Yeah. What do you think about, at this point, Jimmy being Jesse and Chuck being Walt?
Well, I think Chuck might be Skyler now since all this happened.
Oh, no.
No, we're not going to accept that, Shane.
No.
I don't know. People might have it out for Michael McKean now, just like they did Anna Gunn.
Not in the same way, though, because people. I think the general population. I think people look at what Chuck did as guys do stuff like that. It's business. It's just business. Where Skyler and Anna Gunn were personally attacked.
Mm-hmm.
And still are. And Anna Gunn has had, she had to hire security a couple of years ago. I would have gleefully, if she set up an Indiegogo account or something like that, I would have gleefully thrown in a few dollars to help her. It was so outrageous, Ellen, keep going with what you were saying, please, about.
Well, you got Jesse looked up to Walt. He was the smart one, and they were partnering up. And there were times when Jesse was, in this this episode that we keep trying to talk about, Greenlight.
Greenlight.
Where Jesse, he comes to Walt with what he's cooked, and he's like, I did everything just like you, and I watched my numbers, and he's like, it's almost like, did I do a good job? Dad, teacher, whoever.
Wagging his tail, wanting approval.
And Walt's like, I'm embarrassed for you, and it just shoots him down. Yeah. And so much for us being partners. You're just like beating me.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking my self-esteem and just wringing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's like that kind of relationship.
That's like Jesse tells him, I'm cutting you in. Walt, like, what, cut me in? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I forget, can I throw in a question? I want to stay on this line, but I need to go backwards for a moment to the beginning of this episode. Would you permit me to do that?
Yeah.
I was refreshing my memory on YouTube, so of course I was on my iPad, so I was looking at a little tiny screen. It's a one, I almost did it on my iPhone, and I thought, no, even I'm not that stupid. but I didn't feel like getting up and popping the CD or the DVD into the TV. So, lazy me. I'm watching that scene where Walter goes to Benicki's, right? Because he's going to kick Ted's butt, right? And I'm looking through it. Walter parks the car, and I'm looking at a distance shot. So it would be, if you're inside the Benicki building, you're looking out into the distance. Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, I'm looking at this really small screen on iPad. Was in the distance there, is there a billboard? And would that have been the same billboard that appears in Better Call Saul?
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice either.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna have to look at the DVD at that scene on TV. I know I'm gonna have to break down and actually put that DVD in and look at it to see if that's what is in the background of that scene. I was really staring at it and rewinding it, and I just was not sure. I don't know what is in that background, but something is in the background. It could have been a building.
They have all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad at our Walmart. I'm thinking about picking them up one at a time. Oh man.
I got the whole thing, $44 shipped. You might, But anyway, that scene. It was so pure comedy.
It was.
Like if it could be a sitcom, and you throw the laugh track in there.
Yeah,
the plant.
I'm talking with Ted. He's like so
Walter
comedy.
Takes the potted plant, and throws it at Ted's office.
I'm talking with Ted.
Did you see I'm talking with Ted?
Right. And this is like going from last week when we forgot to mention he pees in the kitchen sink.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, I forgot that. I so forgot.
He was just like, man, my territory.
Yeah, really. Market it. Right. Well, something about this episode that we're supposed to be talking about, and I do want to get back to the whole parallel of, Walt, Jesse, and Chuck, and Jimmy. But I've watched each episode of Breaking Bad. I don't know, probably 10, 12 times. I've lost track of how many times I've watched them.
Guilty.
So I'm rewatching tonight, Greenlight. And I have no memory of the scene when, in the parking lot, Gus pulls in and Mike gets into the car and they have this whole conversation. And I'm like, okay, since the accident, the beginning of March, my head has not been normal. So maybe that's the brain cell that went. Because as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, what am I watching? When did this happen? And, they're having a really practical conversation about Jesse and Walt, and Gus says to him, this is all connected with I don't do business with junkies, Gus says. And then at the end of that, he says to Mike, do the deal.
Yeah, he does. He wants Walt back, and the only way to get Walt back is to do the deal with Jesse.
He also says, I don't believe fear to be an effective motivator, which is
right. I love that. Yeah, it's that line that Mike delivers that causes Gus to say that. I don't believe in fear as a motivator. I don't remember Mike ever saying that before. It was like I was watching Greenlight for the first time in history, because he's talking about what about just threatening Walt with an axe in the head. You either cook or you're going to get an axe in your head because of the twins. It's like, I don't believe Mike said that. It's not exactly Mike's style to say.
And the twins are leaving their mark literally on the street.
Yes.
And Gus calls them animals.
Oh, I love that.
All of this, like, high and mighty stuff on Gus's part is going to be pretty funny later.
I love that.
It's like Saul using ethical in a sentence. What? But, yeah.
Yeah, so animals. And just the way he says it, and I agree with you, so high and mighty, and I'm above them, and how dare they act that way, and so forth. They're all animals, but the
But
twins.
thinking at that point that Walt cheated on, this is the big thing. The entire episode, Walt is hit, and
Mm-hmm.
other people, let's see, the principal is to get him fired because he hits on her.
Mm-hmm.
Saul has bugged his house. He has that big freak out, you're fired, blah, blah, blah. Jesse's cooking his formula. He's bullshit. And now even Gus is willing to do business with Jesse. And Walt must feel like everybody is cheating on him right now.
Exactly. And isn't the reason
driving him nuts?
Yes. Isn't the reason, there's the ego, the big, giant, humongous, he needs a neon sign over his head. Walt does. Ego, Mr. Ego. Isn't the obvious reason he hits on Carmen?
Yeah.
Because the night before, isn't it the night before or within a couple of days when IFT occurs?
Yeah.
Right.
He's feeling so conflicted, and he just goes into this stupor in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So he uses. I think a lot of men would have done exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Right. And I would argue that the attempt, be it unsuccessful, it wasn't for a lack of trying on your part. So is just as good as getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
And but they talk about in the Insider podcast, they're playing this chicken game, and the one big thing is that Skyler isn't going to talk. They're getting that. Saul is trying to tell him things are much better than you think they are.
Yeah.
So she slept with somebody. She's not going to talk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We bugged your home. You can do whatever you want, and she's going to keep her butt, great.
Yeah,
and because of that,
light.
He's got the green light to try to force the marriage together.
Right.
And she's like sitting at the breakfast table with him, but telling him in another scene, we're not married. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not married to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, Skyler, is she still sleeping with Ted, or is that just a flashback? Not a flashback.
No,
that wasn't a flashback. Okay, that was not a flashback. Okay.
At that point, I think she's still sleeping with him, but it doesn't last much longer in my memory.
About the time something else big happens, but right now it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still condone this?
She's talking to him about how she can't stay, and he asks her to move in with the kids.
Right.
She's like, no. And then when he asks more about what happened, she puts that wall up. She doesn't want to talk about it. And he says, I'm only asking because I don't want to make the same mistake. And she says, I would be amazed. And that's it.
Well, the reason she's not moving in with Ted is because of Walt Jr.
Exactly. Yeah.
He doesn't want.
The lawyer told her, which is you maintain residency, but mostly because of Junior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got his parents there, and he's trying to pull them together, like rubber bands that just can't stretch that far.
Right.
They're
not who they were before all this started.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Mike and Saul sitting there listening in, on Skyler and Walt arguing, like, you can screw the tree, you can screw this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And she's like, if you don't like it, leave and take your drug money with you. Take the money. All right. Just note to Skyler haters, that is not an argument. She never loved the money.
No, she didn't ever love the money. And the Skyler haters, it reminds me of a lot of political discussions online. it's like, have you actually introduced yourself to facts? um, that the truth is out there, and it's easy to find.
Terrifying phenomenon going on in society where because you believe it's true. Like you are Kevin Costner if you believe it.
Right. Exactly.
So if you believe it, you are entitled to call it a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that scares me.
No research required.
Yeah, it really scares me. We're not even going to go there. I have too much to say about it, and it's really need to go there at all. But it disturbs me at the spiritual level that people do that, and they make up their version of truth, and it's not truth. So, and the Skyler haters did exactly that with. Alan and I both read so many posts where people said that she loved the money, and it was like, where is your reality? Thinking that Skyler, give me one little tiny piece of proof to support your argument or your contention that Skyler loved the money. What?
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. I didn't see that at all.
Never.
She
Never
agreed to deal with it eventually to keep the secret, again, to keep Junior from it.
Yes.
Running out the clock, this would be a totally different story if Walt wasn't going to die within the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It would have been a totally different story. But she thought that she could run out the clock and her children would ever have to know.
You have such an absolutely solid point of view there. Absolutely accurate.
I know.
Yeah, that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to make it go away by running out the clock. That was her hope.
I was going to say, speaking of the truth is out there, Shane has an impending project referring to that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Let's hear
so with the new X-Files coming out,
Yes.
I'm thinking about doing an X-Cast, talking about the new episodes.
I'm going to be watching it too.
Oh my gosh, fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
It's supposed to be
Gilligan created a monster.
It's supposed to be 6 episodes, and Duchovny and Anderson are coming back.
Yep.
Also, cigarette smoking man, and also the other guy,
Skinner.
Skinner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
When is that happening?
Yeah, when?
They're filming
I
it
think
this summer.
next year. This summer, next year.
Okay,
Maybe.
I've got
They're
time.
filming it this summer. So.
I've heard this summer, and I've heard next summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
Shane, it's too bad you don't watch The Walking Dead yet because you'd be all over that.
Oh my God, that is. I was driving the other day thinking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somehow we've got to start. We've got to have a BadCast on The Walking Dead. I mean, that we could spend the next 5 years talking about The Walking Dead. It is. There is nothing that I think I can compare Breaking Bad to. Nothing. But The Walking Dead is next in line. I can assure you of that. It is that compelling. And
you get people like us that don't do zombies and horror so much.
Right.
Like to think about characters and stuff. This is the most action-filled, gruesome show. Every episode is bloody. But there's there's layers and it's deep, and you can
it's multi-layered, and you have to we may never know, Ellen. We may never know what caused this whole thing.
No, we're gonna find out. Well,
Fear the Walking Dead.
We're gonna see how it started. That's what we're gonna see.
We're gonna see how it started, but will we be told what caused it?
Maybe. It was found out but never got to get around.
Yeah.
I don't know. But although we did meet the one last person at the CDC in The Walking Dead. So
Right. And that, I mean, he knew a lot, and to have to have the will to do what he did. That was one of the most disturbing shows.
Mm.
You know, watching that happen.
Yeah, but anyway, we gotta get Shane into it.
Spoiler alert: Daryl did not die.
Daryl does not. I'm going to wait until Daryl dies before I watch the show.
Oh, when he died.
See, that's never gonna happen.
No, we're not ever going to be able to talk about it then, because I will be psychotic even more so by then. You know, that I've told you the saying: if Daryl dies, we riot. That's the phrase that is on fan T-shirts everywhere. If Daryl dies, we riot. There are mega fans who've sworn they will never watch another episode of it if they kill Daryl. That's how loved he is, and his transformation, from the start of the show till now, it's just he's the Jesse of The Walking Dead.
It applies to Carol too.
Yeah. Oh yes, yes. I have reached the point of just adoring watching her, and what is she going to do next, and the whole persona she's put on. You know.
And Shane, there is a character for a while to hate, a female named Lori. And
Andrea, it was like...
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah,
just
not as much as Lori.
Really? Tell me why. I don't feel the same way about Lori.
So, yeah, back to Breaking Bad.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. As soon as I get done with the X-Files, I will watch The Walking Dead.
Good boy. And I'm just about to light something with my... Do you see it?
Walking Dead lighter.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm going to shut it off so the kids don't smoke. There you go.
Okay. Back to greenlight.
All right, so Hank, he's getting the lead in the Heisenberg case.
Yeah.
Based on a teen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, as this will happen over and over again, he will someday be memorialized as the guy you should have listened to.
Yep.
Nobody believes he's got anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And they want him to move on.
And if he had gone, and tonight I kept thinking, Hank, just go to El Paso. You'll live then.
Well,
you won't end up buried in the desert. God.
Which is funny. Like, El Paso is the same place that Jimmy was supposed to get a job at.
Oh, I thought that was Santa Fe.
That was Santa Fe.
Oh, that was Santa. What could it be El Paso? Jeez.
Yeah, it was Santa Fe. Yeah.
Well, no, El Paso brings him out to Juarez in Mexico, and that was very hard for him.
Oh yeah.
That scarred him. That messed him up.
Well, it really would anybody, and don't we understand? He could not go back there. He couldn't do it.
Wasn't it last week he got the news that he was supposed to go?
Yeah.
And he acted all happy about it, but then you see his own private moment and the real reaction on his face, which was he didn't want to go.
Oh, hyperventilating and all sorts of stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, and he might have died if he went to El Paso tonight. He might have died even sooner because of the gang and the murder rate and so forth.
The cartel, yeah.
And they cut down the scene between Marie and Hank at the airport in a car. They cut that down substantially, but he is fighting as if he really wants to go. This is what you do to progress, to get up the ladder, and she's afraid he'll die.
Right.
And he actually feels the same way as her, but he won't. He's a man. He's got the same issues as Walt in a lot of ways. Gotta be a man,
Right.
You can't look at a dangerous situation and say, I don't think that's a good situation for me to be in. That's considered, very wrongly, the way I see it, as being a pussy. I see it as being a pragmatist, but...
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah. As soon as he got that call about that male guy. It was
Oh
a
yeah.
great interrogation scene. Was just freaking hilarious. He jumped right
It
on.
was, yes.
Dude's like, dude is seriously fiending, man. I mean, he is fiending.
That was hilarious, really.
Mhm.
I have one of those questions that, it's just little things occur to me, and I wonder, and I can't stop wondering, so I have to bring it up. When after he interviews that guy, then he finds out about the woman at the gas station, right, the young woman, and he goes there. Why do guys do what he did? And here is what he did. He parks all the way across from, beyond the gas pumps, way beyond the store, the mini mart sort of place, and walks across the parking lot. I have seen so many guys do that. Is he doing it for the exercise? What's the point? I mean, in real life, I've seen people do it. Why? Why do they do it?
Oh God, that's a good question.
I mean, have you ever done it? Have you ever
No.
parked?
I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to walk. I try to find a spot that's closer.
Well, I do park, or like when I go to a drugstore or the dollar store or something like that. I don't park right up front because I do want the exercise. I do want, unless it's at night, and then I'll park right smack at the door because I'm a female, and we now live in the murder capital of the country. It's the smallest town with the highest murder rate. It's some kind of claim to fame there, and the police aren't doing enough, and it's a really dangerous situation. Anyway, that whole thing has struck me because it does reflect real life. I've seen people do that, and I've seen it a lot in movies and on TV, and I don't understand the I want to say the wasted time of the camera person shooting that, like in this case, Hank, walking all the way across to the mini mart and then all the way back out again and then going over to the ATM machine and so forth. And that was brilliant on his part. It was absolutely brilliant to go to the ATM machine and get the shots, get the photographs of the RV and everything. I loved every bit of that. And he's so excited.
To get a wider view of the place. But, the way she was intimidated by him, the girl, it's, if anybody saw, I believe it was Under the Dome, it had to be. The two of them were in the same scenes again together. Only she was scaring him.
Yeah.
Tidbit of trivia there.
Mm-hmm.
Which was kind of cool. Yeah. But she was so scared. And so, this whole thing, Jesse, more butterfly effect, he's the bad guy. He's going to take advantage of this girl and trade some meth for what he needs and let her deal with it. And it ends up being a lead for Hank.
Right.
Yeah. One thing
I can't remember something, so help me with my memory. Why was Jesse completely out of money? I mean, I really just can't remember it. It's got to be staring me in the face. He didn't have any money at all. Why?
That's a good question. Did he have to pay for all that expensive rehab? What happened?
Unless he did it on purpose.
Yeah, that's always possible. One thing that was interesting about this episode was that you had Marie dropping Hank off at the airport, but he doesn't get on the plane.
No, wait a minute. Didn't he buy the house? That's what he did with it? He bought his aunt's house back?
He did that.
Well, he did that,
Well, that was the majority of the money.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay, yeah, because this was recent. And Saul comes over and says, your house poor.
Right.
The house pretty much took all of his money.
Well, another thing that fascinated me about, when he meets Walt at the school, and Walt says, I'm absolutely not getting back into the business, and you're really good. Jesse is down on himself and there's nothing else I can do and blah, blah, blah. And Walt says, you're really good. There, you can do all sorts of things. And Jesse says, like what? And at that point, they're having a decent conversation with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Walt is not doing his awful banging away. I mean, in just a moment or so, he's going to be right back to banging poor Jesse on the head and telling him how horrible he is and that he's worthless and so forth. But the scene where Walt is trying to uplift Jesse and convince him, you don't need to go back into the business either. You can do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse says, what? You know, he doesn't know how to do anything else. He thinks he doesn't know how to do it.
You think that's why? Because within minutes, Walt, sees that Jesse has cooked Walt formula.
Yes.
And it's like, stay out of my territory.
Exactly.
And that comes out, and he has spent the whole episode saying he's trying to convince Skyler. We hear that those conversations that conversation that Saul and Mike listened to from the bugs in the house. So important in establishing what exactly went on last week. And she was like, I told you I wanted you out. You don't like it, and this is what I do, and then you should leave. And it's where are they? And that was pretty funny though, because Saul's like, "Is that a good thing?" Mike just goes, "Just wait." He like points, like, "Wait."
I know.
Henry,
we're gonna go talk to Ted.
You said something about the airport and Hank.
It's so cool. Yeah. It was interesting because if you remember, I think it was season 2, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where Skyler dropped Walt off at the airport because he said he was going to see his
His mother, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be a ruse. What was that? That was 4 days out. That was the episode.
Yeah, he and Jesse had to cook for days. So that was the cover.
And it was Wayfarer too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the airport. Yeah, the airline.
Yeah, the airport. Yeah. The sign on at Wayfarer.
Everybody's still wearing their ribbons right now.
You know what's really funny? Saul is the only one. Saul is the only one to wear the ribbons throughout the rest of the series, really.
Well, he's using it. It's like cha-ching.
Yeah.
Are you sleepless? Anxiety? Come on.
Right.
It's a big business boom for him.
Saul was saying, even if a bag of peanuts landed on your property.
Right.
Yeah. That plane crash is like, yay for Saul. He's like.
I hope we see more of that in season 2.
I think that's the intention.
And then,
one of the things that I dearly love about Breaking Bad is how quickly the writers could create dialogue, like in Greenlight, where 1 minute these two people, Jesse and Walt, are having a decent conversation, and within 2 minutes, Walt is verbally battering Jesse again, and turns back into Heisenberg.
Because Jesse's cheating on him, and his wife did that.
But doesn't it remind you of Gail Bedecker and the dinner scene at Hank and Marie's, when Hank says, it's over, Gail Bedecker's dead, so, Heisenberg is dead, is what Hank thinks, and Walt's ego, and he was drinking wine, and Walt's ego, massive ego, takes over, and he can't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
And the look, when he starts talking, Skyler could have put a knife through him. It was like, shut up. What are you doing? Because he then, he disagrees with Hank and gets Hank started thinking again that Heisenberg isn't dead. Well, Heisenberg isn't dead. We know that. But if...
It's as far as he could go to tell him, because he wanted to boast to Hank.
Yes, he did.
I am the one who knocks. And
I am the danger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So, and he couldn't allow Gail Bedecker to rest in peace as Heisenberg, which would have been to his benefit.
But Walt is feeling betrayed in this episode. Oh, and one
Yes.
thing after another. His wife is trying to prove to him she's serious about not being together anymore.
Right.
Saul has his house bugged. They
Right.
basically have this little divorce, and Saul takes the website down, no more money laundering, and
Right.
Jesse's cooking his meth.
Right.
And now even Gus is going to do business with Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
But as we see, it turns into, don't worry, we understand it's your intellectual property, and you'll get half.
Right.
Yeah, because Jesse got half from Victor, and then Walt is driving out, and he stops at a green light, well, a red light, then it becomes a green light, and Victor comes, driving behind him, goes, and he tosses him his half.
Yeah.
And Walt was listening to the radio, and he heard, they were talking about Donald Margolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never did hear.
He hung himself in
He
jail.
shot himself. Oh, no, he shot himself.
Oh, shot him. I thought he hung himself.
Who did? Who did?
Jane's dad.
Jane's dad.
Dad, yeah.
Who shot himself?
Jane's dad, Don Margolis.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I just couldn't hear the conversation there for a minute. Yes, and the look on Walter's face. I mean, the acting in the end, we know this. We can say it a bazillion times. The acting on Breaking Bad is just the most supreme acting ever on anything. And it's consistent. It's consistently high quality. The expression when Walt had the radio on in the car and heard that, the expression on his face was, there was some pain there.
Mm-hmm.
Which he turned the dial on.
Yep.
Got the green light, and he's proceeding. I mean, getting out of the business is not helping get his family back.
Right.
And staying out of the business is watching everybody else try to run away with his baby.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's done that before. He's not going to do it again. He did that with Gretchen and Elliot.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it again. Got the green light, took the money, he's in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And he would probably just sit back and take the money forever, but he's going to have to do the cooking because only, he's OCD and a perfectionist, and he's going to have to make sure the product is to his liking.
Right.
Oh, he's in.
Yeah, and when he says to Jesse, Jesse's tested the product that he's cooked, and it's as good as Walt's, and Walt, who did you test it with? Meth heads? Wow.
They should know.
Yes, it was a bomb.
They would know.
They should know, yeah, of course. Meth heads should know.
I mean, really, who are they cooking the product for after all? Good grief. There are moments of humor, just laugh out loud humor in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
And the whole thing, the whole the feelings that Walt's having about Skyler's affair are sort of point and laugh at him. They don't do it so, you feel like poor Walt. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Going to talk to Ted and dragging the plant, and like last week he peed in the kitchen sink, and then trying to hit on Carmen. Mm-hmm. It's all like slapstick.
Yeah.
Just about. And he's the only one taking it seriously, and there's Saul saying, so she sleeps with another guy, she's not talking. This is good.
Yeah, and
the real important stuff is good. And Walt's feeling like, no, my world fell apart.
Yeah.
Right. And let us remember that this version of Jimmy, he's no longer Jimmy. He is full-fledged Saul now.
You sure about that?
His wife cheated on him. When he was married, his wife cheated on him.
Yeah, and we saw that too. We heard about his first ex-wife in the last episode. Now we need to see his second ex-wife. And everybody's saying it's
Decent.
Kim. Everybody's saying it's Kim. I don't think it's Kim, because Kim would never sleep with his stepdad unless something
I can't
major
see that.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't.
Hey,
think,
we didn't see Chuck being an asshole, did we?
yeah,
They're going to hit us over the head.
Unless something major happens to Kim that, you know, breaks her down and she has to sleep with Saul's stepdad. I don't see that happening unless Vince Gilligan can pull it out.
Vince Gilligan is just so twisted in what he does to us. It's, you know, only he, as we're imagining, there's nothing that would ever cause Kim to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Vince Gilligan has probably figured it out and already written the script, you know.
Probably.
Who knows the reason for it? But you know, now that we know Saul's first ex-wife, while they were still married, cheated on him, he is so casual about and right in saying that it's a good thing Skyler slept with somebody. It means she's not going to go to the police. She's not going to betray you with the information. You know, not going to take them all down by going to the police.
Yeah.
And he knows that now, and he's starting to see how far he could push his way in. And they called this a game of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that stuff at the breakfast table.
Oh.
She's put on the spot, put on the spot, and put on the spot, and she.
Yeah, with Walt Jr.
Go along.
He asked, can Holly babysit Holly? And she said, we'll see about that.
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Walt's sitting there playing with his cereal, saying, you know, something about losing interest and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the website being taken down.
Right.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
It wasn't taken down.
You know,
It was just they stopped that scam with the zombie computers. You know.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about that. You know, he doesn't care at all.
At that point now.
No, he knows what it was all about, and he never wanted that money anyway. So it was all Junior.
Well, it was his money coming in.
Oh yeah, it was. It was his money, but it wasn't that much money. You know.
Some of it had to be legit, but yeah, he hated charity.
Yes,
and the whole idea of it.
That's right.
I don't. By the way, personally, I do not hate charity. I beg for money all the time. It's part of what I do. My opinion about charity is that I live to give other people an opportunity to do good things.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is part of who I am. Henry, one of my professional jobs is that of Director of Development for a performing arts company, and that means fundraising, which means begging for money.
Right.
Yeah, and Ellen and Shane, and you too for that matter, Ellen and Shane have probably seen my collapsing face video on my website. That is my dental fund, which isn't. I wish I could say it was over now, but it isn't. There's still a little bit more to go. So I'm serious when I say, you know, my life is spent having other people do nice things. They can donate money to any number of things. I'm just always fundraising for one purpose or another. A friend of my husband's yesterday, right up the street from us, there's a very small apartment complex, and all hell broke loose. There was some fire. We don't know any of the details at this point, but the entire highway was blocked from yesterday morning until last night.
Wow.
With emergency vehicles. In addition to that, just over the line in Maryland, my husband found out today that a friend of his he hasn't seen in a while, her house caught on fire and burned to the ground. She and the family got out, but they lost both of their pets in this horrible house fire. And he was telling me about it. He was so shocked, and he said, my first thought was, you know, thank God they're okay. It's horrible they lost their pets. But he wanted to set up a fundraising site for her. And then he found somebody had already done it. Because people do, with all of the different fundraising sites that can be set up, there are just really terrific people out there in the world. And they saw that she had lost everything, and one of her other friends set up a website, which was really good to know. So, there's always something going on. And, it's been an interesting experience for me watching Walter become Heisenberg and make bazillions of dollars, just bazillions, for his, ostensibly for his family. And that is how it all started. He wanted to secure the future for his family. But I think in terms of the good that could have been done with that horrible drug money, furthermore, the good that he could have done with his life if he could have ever gotten his ego under control. Because whatever happened with Gretchen and Elliot, and I don't think we really know what happened with him and Gretchen, especially.
Well, there's where we understand not only does he want his family to be cared for, but he wants to make sure that he does it himself in a very short period of time.
Yes,
and it's not just money he's turning down. He turns down a job.
Yes, he does. And I remember that scene, the visit to Elliot and Gretchen's home, and that whole scene, and the ramen noodles, and just all of it. And he gets offered a job, and his pride, there again, he's offered a great opportunity, but he can't accept that. It's tragic. The man is brilliant. And
now he's gotten to the point where he realizes making it himself puts him in a bad position with his family, particularly his wife.
Yeah.
And now he wants to get out, but those lures are all still there. All of that temptation is still there. And he's feeling so betrayed by everybody that he just wants to step in and be the alpha and take his place.
Which is a good transition into next week's episode with him meeting Gus in the super meth lab.
Oh, yes.
Look at what I've made.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's a good end spot right there. A good transition into next week's episode. Episode 5, Moss.
More,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, where are we with the finale of, where are we with Marco, the finale of Better Call Saul? Does anybody else have any thoughts about it? Were you satisfied with it?
Ooh, it opened up so many doors of where they could take season 2.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait to see. I still think Gus is going to show up in season 2.
Has to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it lacks a cliffhanger, but there's so many individual scenes from the whole series that I love individually. I have a hard time with the cohesion, but maybe I'll have to go back and watch them again. But
and plus, it was the first season, and I'm sure the writers didn't know where they was going in the first season.
I'm wondering if they got cut off before they thought they were going to. And so I have some research to do about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might be onto something there, Ellen, because it didn't. You just used the word cohesive. That resonates with me. I just felt so conflicted when it ended. It was kind of like, really? This is the finale? I didn't expect a big, giant, overwhelming, I didn't expect somebody like Gus to have half his face blown off or anything like that. It was just...
Yeah, you don't have to have an explosion.
No, it was a bunch of scenes stuck together. Somehow.
Well, as we all know, Giancarlo Esposito has expressed interest in being in season 2. He wants to.
Yes. Yes,
I'd
and
love to see him.
Jesse has agreed that he would accept a role in it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Gus.
So do we have to wait till next February for? Oh my God.
Well, like I said to Shane, that's not fair.
I keep on saying this. It's payback for me and Henry for binge watching all those times.
That's right. Now you get to suffer.
And we got to suffer.
Yeah.
Misery loves company.
It is a long period of time, and everyone is not in love with Better Call Saul. You know, so it's a big risk to have that much time go by.
Yeah, it is.
Well, listen, they did that with the first season of The Walking Dead. They had 6 episodes in the first season of The Walking Dead. Then we had to wait almost a year for the second season.
And Henry, that year it ended up being more than a year, didn't it?
No,
it was brutal. I remember hearing that it was going to be a year, and then I was counting down the months, and I think I'm going to have to look this up. I think it ended up being a little bit more than a year. I thought I was going to lose my mind before season 6 started.
Every season has premiered in October.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first season was October. It was actually Halloween 2010. The second season was October 2011, and then that's when they started splitting the season up. Was the second season? Where they split it into 2 8-episode.
Oh yeah.
Like I hate that new practice.
Half of it October, November, December, then half of it February, March.
I'm running out of shows. I'm gonna have to go outside and do things.
Well, I'm with you on that. It's like, what do I do with myself now? I actually have to clean and do other stuff I've been ignoring all this time. And
oh, Marty, I gotta ask you: did you get a chance to watch the X-Files episode that I gave you?
No, I am so excited about that. Here's the way my weeks have been going for the past month. 3 doctor appointments a week, 2 medical massage therapist appointments a week, miscellaneous meetings or telephone conversations with my lawyer and the team, conversations with my auto body guy. So by the time, and two dinners out. It's been an unusual week. We don't normally do things like that. So we've had, technically one was a late lunch, and then we went out with my grandson and his partner last night and had a belated birthday dinner with him, and that was wonderful. So it's like, I want to see that show really badly, Shane, and I've saved it, of course, and you will know. You will get a message from me when I watch it.
All right.
I'm absolutely terrified of watching it, especially after your description.
Oh, it is a scary one.
Have you seen Drive yet?
When you sent me the link, it starts immediately. I mean, the whole thing starts tough. Immediately, I had to stop it.
I'm going to have to watch that at some point.
Which one, Drive?
Yeah, with Bryan Cranston.
Yes,
Did you see that one?
Yes. It's a good one. I like that one. That's the one that got me hooked on the X-Files.
Really?
See, what I did is that Vince Gilligan was a writer on the X-Files. So I started watching the ones that he wrote only.
That was smart. Yeah.
And then it got me hooked.
So that was the episode that convinced the producers of Breaking Bad to hire Bryan Cranston as Walt.
Oh my God, and the bigot he was so awful. I loved that. Trying to get gas. Oh my God. Fun stuff. That was great. And then they run out of West.
I'm gonna have to do the same thing Shane did. It's just, look at the whole list of Vince Gilligan written X-Files and watch every one of them.
Yeah, I recommend doing that.
Because while the show was on,
do that.
While the show was on, I watched. I didn't miss an episode, but the one that I guess because the years have passed, I know I saw it because I never missed an X-File, but doesn't come back It doesn't come to mind.
Shane, I noticed you're not wearing the wife beater tonight. Are you only going to wear that for the Survivor Man Bigfoot?
It's the V-neck tonight.
Yeah.
The wife beater is only for the Bigfoot stuff.
That expression just.
Ellen's just out of it. She doesn't know what we're talking about.
Oh, I know what a wife beater is.
What a wife beater is,
I
right?
know.
Yeah,
Right, so,
the first time I ever heard that, it wasn't that many years ago, and it just struck me as hilarious that guys would wear shirts called wife beaters.
all right, so let's end this. A fun fact, I like fun facts, starting tonight and throughout June, the episode that we're watching actually aired on the same day. So,
Good.
so Greenlight aired on April 11th, 2010.
Really?
Oh, that is so cool.
Next week, April 18th, Moss airs, and then it just continues from there.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
And
That's
then,
wonderful.
so, which means June 13th is going to be the season finale of Breaking Bad, full measure.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
And it's been 5 years from Greenlight.
It has.
Half measure. Oh, I can't wait.
I might have to go start serving the chowder, so
The half measure speech. Oh, we get to talk about that.
We get to talk. I can't wait for that.
Oh,
Oh
man.
gosh, I love Mike so much. I mean, I just thoroughly enjoyed watching him and every expression that goes across his face and every move he makes. I absolutely love watching him. And
Yeah, Jonathan Banks is in a new series, the Lizzie Borden Chronicles.
Oh, right.
And
Wow.
I mentioned that Raymond Cruz is going to be on a TV movie about the real life kidnappings in Ohio.
Yeah, Raymond
Oh.
Cruz is going to be the kidnapper for the Ohio
Oh.
kidnapping.
Yeah,
Those three girls that got kidnapped. Yeah.
Yeah, his wife. What I read, and I think Jesus even referred to that last week, that Raymond's wife was really upset when he was offered that role and wanted him not to take it. And then he explained why he thought, and he was really hesitant because it is real life. And then they talked about it, and as he thought it through, he thought it might be a very good thing to take the role, and he knew he could do a good job of it, of course. So,
Yeah.
as horrible as the story is, I really am looking forward to seeing him portray Carl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a meme that somebody put up which talked about Mike died like a badass and cried like a badass. Did all this stuff like a badass.
So, and 2 weeks ago, we spoke to Jesus, a.k.a. Gonzo, and you never know, he might show back up. He might
I
show
really
back
hope
up.
he does.
He will. I think he
He's
will.
funny. He's a funny guy.
Great. He's
And
great.
he's a bright guy. He was so interesting to
Mm-hmm.
listen to, and I guess we could try to find out when he's. He won't tell us, of course. So I was hoping to find out when he'll be on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil though.
Yeah.
I want to
No,
be
I
surprised.
No, I just kept hoping he would show up on either Pimento or Marco.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. So we have to watch reruns of him for now.
All right, so let's end this. We went like 2 hours, which I don't care. It's great. It's great. It's great talking about this.
Honestly, that's great.
Next week is Moss more.
Yeah, we'll be paying more attention to the Breaking Bad next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just felt, like I said, I felt so bad. I was desperately trying to join the group, and I just couldn't figure out what the problem was. And
Oh, that's okay.
I felt like I was missing so much, and it was something I really wanted to hear. I wanted to hear all of you talk about, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was getting to the point. I was getting to that frantic point of I'm just going to give up. And then, when you started messaging, I had already tried getting out of it and back in. That didn't work. So the third time was the charm in this case. I did finally get in on the third time. So before the next one, we will try to work out my issues, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you all. I absolutely love this group and really look forward to it.
I'm glad to do this. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great talking to people.
All right,
And
guys.
whenever the X-Files comes on, I hope you guys join in for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even though it's going to be 6 episodes.
If Ellen is slinging chowder again, we're going to have to work with her schedule. We're going to have to figure it out so that she's part of
Hope you
it.
like weeknights. I'm kidding.
Well, we'll just say, Shane is a bright guy. He can figure it out. And most weeknights, I can't do Tuesdays usually, but the rest of the week I probably I could probably do a Monday night.
I would definitely be doing it in my pajamas and then going right to bed.
Yeah, I can do Monday nights too. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays.
Any day that ends in Y.
Yep.
Shane,
All right,
thank
guys.
you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
You
It's
guys
no
have a
problem.
good night.
Hope you be here on next week.
I hope so.
I will be.
I almost didn't make it tonight because my daughter had said she wanted to know if we could babysit, and we are